comment on a recent trend that we've seen in a lot of the village board meetings, and once again it falls to me to talk about something that Emilio touches on, but is too much of a gentleman to get into in great depth. We've witnessed a recent phenomenon that usually starts with the comments on the internet or the patch. Sometimes they're anonymous, sometimes they're not, and they're usually confined to certain recurring characters that we see here. And the topics can vary somewhat. It can be issues having to do with the Rockville Centre Housing Authority, or tonight a range of issues that are seemingly combined into one sort of rambling narrative that's difficult to follow but have common themes. The common themes are that they tend to go on for 10 to 15 minutes and take a bunch of distortions or spins or their opinion of facts and are translated into conspiracy theories and accusations of various types against different members of the board. It doesn't really particularly matter which ones. The point seems to be to make the accusation and then the speaker is satisfied. And the trend that you see over and over is that you take a few facts, mix in some distortions, create some misquotes, and then throw in a few pure inventions at the end. Another common theme is that anyone who disagrees with them or attempts to is either labeled a racist or corrupt or involved in some sort of a grand conspiracy. And the result of it is this sort of deranged narrative that we all have to listen to. Now I say this for a reason. For us, speaking for the five of us, that is our job. We are required to do that, whether we agree with it or not, whether we think it's ridiculous or not. And I bring this up not to complain about it. Again, we get paid for that. But really to apologize, one, to you, and secondly, to tell you, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us, if anything that you hear raises a question in your mind of, hey, what was the story behind that? Or, hey, this person made a comment, what really happened there? Or I have a question about the Malloy deal or taxes or contracts. They have the absolute right to raise allegations no matter how fantastic. But you have the absolute right to that information if you're curious, even for a heartbeat. There's a reason we have meetings in public, our discussions in public, our informational sessions.
No.
And if anything raises a question in your
You have to wait 2 minutes.
You were asked.
You have to wait 2 minutes.
To bring it to our attention. And the only standard is if you want to know. You will also notice among the common themes that almost oblivious to their own contradictions, the board will be asked to take actions, when in the very next breath we'll get comments like, well, I'm sure the board will find a reason not to act on what I'm asking. And that's more than just a snide comment. It's secretly an acknowledgement, conscious or not, of just how much merit this argument tends to have. And I suspect, and I'm not trying to be snarky here, that it's because it's the first time that the allegation was aired publicly, as opposed to walking around in circles talking to yourself. Now again, I say this for a reason. They have the absolute right to level whatever they want at us, and it's our job to sit here and take it. And we often, if you notice, tend not to engage because, frankly, we don't need to put ourselves and you through that because from experience we found that facts don't matter. Attempts to reason, unfortunately we've learned, are sometimes, unfortunately, a waste of time. And so we tend to typically engage in a pattern of we let people vent their spleen, leave it to the public to make your own judgments about the validity of what they're saying, and we choose not to respond. For myself, and speaking purely for myself, that era is over. And so when we do hear this, I am going to exercise my right to either correct the record or to expose to the light of day some of the allegations that are leveled against us, not because I'm insulted. I mean, listen, I'm a lawyer, I hear this crap all the time. But frankly, for the other 4 members of this board and the rest of the public who listens to it, they have a right to accuse, you have a right to hear the truth. And only you will decide as to what you're curious about and want to know, and I ask you again, for my benefit and everyone else, please tell us. Again, some of the allegations are interesting or fantastic, the way fiction often is. And I also bring this up for a second reason, and that frankly is to thank members of the public. I am, I have to say, honestly surprised. I was elected to this position and you hear the stories about people stopping you on the sidewalk and having registering a complaint about a street or a concrete crack or whatever the case may be. And I kind of went into expecting that. And I really, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I have been sincerely impressed, almost beyond my ability to express my gratitude, at how people have treated me throughout my time as a trustee. I am met and spoken to by people constantly who disagree. And I am genuinely grateful and genuinely impressed with the way they do it. I have had countless conversations at the gym, at the supermarket, in front of Village Hall, or people I see in my office. And invariably, it's, hey, you know, I want to know your take on something, or I have a different take on this, and I think you should consider doing this differently. And that's a constant theme, literally through just about 100% of residents in this village. The secret, despite what you hear and the fantastical stories that you hear, is that we're a village of 3 square miles. And speaking for everyone up here, the dirty little secret is we don't consider ourselves politicians, and we don't really view you as constituents. We view ourselves as talking to our neighbors whenever we have one of these exchanges. And so in these countless conversations, I like to think I've changed a few minds on specific issues, and I guarantee you I've gotten more information and had my mind changed on more than one occasion by what I consider a neighbor coming up to me giving me information I didn't have. And so in all the issues that I've dealt with and all the things that I've spoken about through the years, one thing that I have not said is thank you to the residents for making this job a whole lot easier than I ever thought it would be. And I appreciate that. Thank you.